Oh my God.
All right, we are live.
Oh,
Hello.
yeah.
And just for our viewers to know that anyone that is watching, if we sound like we feel like crap, well, that's because we just got done with a ghost hunt last night.
That wiped us out.
We're all exhausted. Yeah, we're not acting. Yeah.
Uh, and we're not unenthusiastic, it's just tiring.
Mhm.
But yeah, this episode's going to be about personal experiences and Q&A from the chat and anonymous Q&A from the email. Just basically like last time. Except this one's geared towards more investigators. But even still, everyone's an investigator first, secondary jobs later.
Huh?
I need you to unload the truck. I gotta go to Frito Lay. Sorry.
I'll be right back.
Okay. Um, while he's doing that, I guess we can start off with personal experiences. Anything that we haven't really talked about. I, I guess let's start off with Mandy.
Something we haven't talked about. Well, I'm to try and keep it, family friendly, I guess. The only thing I can think of that I don't share very often is stuff that happens in my own house, and I have had since moving to where I live now. We've been here almost 3 years, and I being the person I am, I always protect my house and myself and my family. But I was a little lacking on getting started with that this time around. It took me almost a year and a half actually to get in and clean out the house and protect it and set up barriers and everything. And about with that said, with about 10 months in, uh, my husband and I were sitting at the table, just relaxing after dinner, just talking, and it's coming up. Come up behind him on the walk on the hallway is an older man, and I looked up and went, "Oh!" And my husband, not knowing what happened, turned around, and looked, come face to face with him, and it was like, "Oh, hi, how are you?" You know, and when I asked him to leave because this was not his space, he refused. He wanted to have something said. So I said, go ahead, tell me what you got to say, and then you can
Hello, Ashley.
take the step in. And he looked at me and he started repeating verbatim Abraham Lincoln's fourscore speech.
Oh, wow.
And that was a long, daggone speech. And there's parts of it I forgot were in there because I didn't really pay attention in history. But I, listening to him, and he could have written it the way he was saying it. And it was like, okay, what does that mean? And he backed off like he was going to fade away into the abyss, but he ended up charging at me. And when he charged at me, I just okay, kind of and sent him out. And that looked at my
That's what they
husband that
call a
night, and I
live
said, I
show.
think I really, yeah, right. I asked my husband, I said, I think I really need to set up and cleanse this place quick. And it still took me another 7, 8 months.
Were you able to figure out what was all that about?
Unfortunately, no. I mean, I figured out who he was. Turns out he's a gentleman that was working along the area that I currently live, and he had passed away on his way back home. And evidently, one of the things he had seen had been Lincoln's speech, and that may have been the last thing he was feeling or thinking. But whatever it was, Yeah, I now remember why I'm not a big history fan. Let's put it that way. Uh-uh.
All right. Tiffany, do you have any personal experiences that you haven't talked about before?
Um, I there was one when I was first seeing ghosts. We were in the trailer park in Gillis, Louisiana, and I don't even know my mom's side of the family very well. Um, but I seen a woman in a wedding dress, and we just was smelling really, really strong cologne, and I was telling my mom about it, and she actually was pointing out pictures, and she was showing me pictures in the photo album, and I pointed those two out, and she was like, "Oh, well, this is Uncle Georgie. That's like my mom's great great uncle." And I forgot who she told me the woman was, but it was his wife.
Aunt somebody.
All right then.
That was really weird for me at a young age.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, it sounds like to me the woman in the wedding dress sounds like that was an important moment in her life, and if you smelt something that might have been connected to her, that might have been the cologne that her husband was wearing.
Yeah,
Or a father or a brother or somebody who
Yeah.
may have lost somebody. It may have been the got itself,
Mhm.
but it may have been the cologne of a man she wished to have married versus the man she did.
That's a possibility too. Unfortunately, records doesn't let us get too much into feelings.
No, they don't show us the affairs, but that's all right. That'd be kind of cool, though, wouldn't it?
Right.
yeah, yeah, it would be.
my first experience by getting touched by ghosts was that was funny. I never was have been touched by a ghost until this year. They've never like actually touched me, and one of them put their hand down my shirt. It scared the shit out of me. I had to tell my 13-year-old son, Matthew, get out the room, and my shirt just came off. I thought there was a bug or something crawling on me, but it was cold. Oh my gosh. That was probably the funniest moment. It was great though. It was really cool, but it scared me at the same time.
It's that Mother Nature and her bugs thing. You think first. You don't think spirit's going to touch you like that.
Yeah.
What happened? Oh,
All right. Pop, you got any personal experiences that you haven't talked about on here?
quite a few, but um, I'm just trying to think back when I was a kid because I remember being at my aunt's house and we were playing out there in the horse pasture, and there was an old stable sitting off the back corner back here. And Uncle Bill always talked about it, that he didn't want us back here around a lot because unless he was out there because of snakes, etc. But then we find out that his dad actually built that stable back in like the late 40s, mid 40s, somewhere in there, and he had passed away on property. And I just remember hearing a story about it because I was probably 2 or 3 years old when he passed away out there. No big deal. Just when you're 5, 6, 7 years old, you don't think about it. You just run, play, and have a good time. But I think I was like 8 or 9 years old. We were back here playing, and we've been riding the little mini bike, riding down on the horse pasture. Brian dared me to go to the barn by myself. Okay, no problem. I'm 7, 8 years old. I ain't got a care in the world. Nothing scares me. So I tracked along in there, and I go around the corner of the barn, and there's this old gentleman sitting in the corner of the barn. Hi. And I stepped out of the barn to get Brian to see because I didn't know who that old man was. And I said, there's somebody in there. And Brian walked back in the barn, there's nobody there. So that was one of my first ones. And that there, it kind of like, so when I got back to the house, me and Brian walked in the back door. And of course, Brian He's experienced it all the time, and Brian knew who it was. I had no clue. So I said, "Hey, Mary," I said, "There was an old man in the barn. We went back inside. And he was gone." He said, "Well, was he wearing bib overalls?" I said, "Yeah." She said, "Was he smoking a corncob pipe?" I said, "Yeah." She turned and looked at Bill and said, "Bill, your dad's at the barn again." And Bill said, "I'll be all right. He won't bother nothing." And the joke was on me because I had no clue. I was actually waving and speaking to a spirit, just, "How you doing? Just move along about your business." But that was one of my first ones. And it kind of built from there, because I could, I've been a young age, and I've learned this over the years that a lot of times the younger children, they'll be more impressionable to see spirits because the spirits are more relaxed around, to actually come in contact with them. And it's, case in point, most time people that get into the paranormal have these experiences at an early age.
Children are also less jaded. So they're, a little bit more imaginative, a little bit more open-minded, a little bit more accepting of what they see versus what is up.
And they also know that, hey, if he goes tell somebody, they're probably not going to believe him. So,
hello, Rebecca.
Oh, you're
Welcome.
just imagining things.
When you're back, well, he's telling stories again.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but use your imagination so much. They're actually taking form and playing with you now.
I think I don't think I ever told this story. I was out at Northview Cemetery with a friend of mine, Matthew, and we're just walking around, taking a look at the graves because a lot of the big historical graves from Dublin are on that one side. I'm walking around, and you see a few people out there visiting relatives, but I saw this one old man. He was dressed differently. He was walking with a wooden carving cane. And I remember walking up to this man, saying hello. Didn't mean to disturb you. I'm just passing through. And he just went, and just kept walking. I remember this man's face, everything. But I was talking to Matthew about it, and he's like, "Well, I didn't see no one when you were walking past that area." I'm like, "Well, maybe he's for an old man. Maybe he moves fast. I don't know." But I was talking, I was talking to the local historian one day, and I was telling him what I was, doing, and he, the way I described the old man, I thought maybe he knew him because, the local historian, he's very into the community. He knows these old family members. And he's like, "The person you're describing, there's no way you could have saw him because he's dead." I'm like, "What you mean he's dead?" And he showed me a picture. The man's name was Charles Roundtree. He came to Dublin on a riverboat. And sure enough, he showed me this picture. It was exactly the way he was, the way I saw him out there in the graveyard. It was something freaky.
I love that question, though. I gotta tell you. I don't know how many times somebody's sitting, you've heard something or someone's seen something when they find out that, what do you mean dead? There's only one definition the last time I checked.
Well, back then, I didn't know.
Back then, your fear was that, hold on, how'd that happen? Like maybe he died in the last week,
Yeah, right.
Hello.
That's
Hello,
funny.
everyone.
Are you talking about he passed away the past 30 minutes? Because I seen him last week.
Right. Right?
Well, actually, the first thought that came in my brain was, oh, he just passed away, like, after I met him. I'm like, well, he moved pretty quick. He probably had a heart attack.
Right.
But,
Something like that at his age. Yeah.
I found out that he died sometime in the early 1900s,
Oh,
Oh wow.
and he had came to Dublin sometime like right after the Civil War.
oh my. Okay.
But yeah, when I got done talking to the local historian, I found out who it was and all that, and I went back out to the graveyard with my friend Matthew, and I went back to that exact area. Sure enough, the grave we walked past, there was Charles Roundtree and his wife. It was something freaky.
Yeah, at a young age it can be, yeah. Especially if you don't know of what you can or
Oh yeah.
cannot see. Oh yeah. First couple times it gets you, it's like, wait. The fun part is when you get a
Well,
little older and you start playing with it more and you start playing,
that's
is that dead or alive?
yeah.
We're
Well, that
walking down.
cemetery Bill is talking about is
Yeah.
really known for a lot of spirits just showing up. I mean, just out of the blue. I mean, Kim's my wife. Her parents are buried out there, and back before her father passed away, I was out there cleaning the grave of her mother and trimming the roses and taking the debris off, and respecting the other graves out there without stepping on anything, and disturbing their graves. And I just looked up, and on the other ridge, about 300 yards away, there's two cedar trees. Billy, you know the trees I'm talking about. They're real slender trees. And I seen a gentleman standing there, looked like he's wearing a real nice suit, standing there watching. And I just kind of like waved my hand. He waved back. I went back over working, and I came and said, "Who was you waving at?" And I said, "That gentleman up there behind cedars." And we looked up there, and there's nobody there. So we get ready to leave, and we drive by there, and I look at the gravestone, and it's a doctor that passed away in the 1930s.
Oh,
Oh.
yes, I do know who you're talking about. I remember you telling me this.
Mm-hmm. And I looked him up, and he was one of them kind of people that if you respected the elders or you took care of people's property, he was one of them doctors that would reward you for it. And his reward to me, I guess, was giving his approval of what I was doing.
Yeah, appreciation.
Yeah, because you described
Hey,
him
me
to
cut
me.
you off, Tip.
You described him to me. I went to the local historian. I asked him. He said it was Dr. George Hodges.
Yeah, that's him. Yep.
That's really cool.
Go ahead, Tiffany.
I was just telling Paul that's really cool.
Mhm.
The 1930s. That
You went to say something, and I started talking. You went to say something before I started talking a while ago. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off.
Oh, it's okay. I don't even remember. No, I think
All right, we got some people. We got people in the chat. Sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off.
it's all good.
It's getting to be a habit.
The coolest thing that I have seen was when we released the spirit, and that was I've never seen that before. That was you could just see the white go up, and she just went right into the grave. It's amazing.
Mm-hmm.
Huh, Paul? You seen that?
Yeah, I did.
We
First time
should've
I ever
been-
seen that, but I seen it.
Video it. We
I
weren't
know.
there. We just didn't. Oh my
We
god!
wasn't- Nope. We was just thinking about doing what we had to do and put her at peace.
Mm-hmm.
So, sometimes you gotta do what you gotta do.
But that was like
Yep.
it was really cool to watch. And as soon as that happened, I just felt at peace. Like it was very peaceful.
That's good. All right.
Question and answers.
Yeah. If anyone's got any questions to ask, well, those are in the chat. I see Randy. I see
Hi,
Rebecca.
hi, Rebecca.
Hello, Rebecca.
Um,
Hello, Randy.
Randy says hello, Nerdette. Ashley's in here too.
It's about time she got somewhere.
Is she?
She said her experience was seeing a witch's face in an open closet, so now she can't sleep without the closet being shut or covered. She was 12 years old.
Oh,
How'd she know it
wow.
was a witch?
Ashley, how'd you know it was a witch?
Not a trick question.
We are about 6 seconds behind, so you got to give her a second.
Oh, I understand.
I found the man I was supposed to be with.
Oh, me.
Randy H. I'm sorry.
This time delay kills me.
It's shocking how long 6 seconds feels, isn't it?
Yeah, forever.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
I think that may be a bit of the fact that we're all so drained. You know, a minute's
Oh,
gonna feel like a day.
That's a
Yeah.
possibility.
she said it. She said it looked like one. Like,
Okay.
I'm
Yeah,
assuming that
traditional look.
stereotypical
Hollywood
look on the
witch?
nose.
Yeah, Hollywood. The long
Hook
pointy
nose
hat,
and zip skin with little
crinkle
warts.
nose,
And the yeah. She had
the little
green
wart
skin,
on
wear
the
a pointy
nose.
hat.
Right.
Not.
No, big nose, not crooked one. Thank you.
But we do have
A little
an
slight tilt.
Little, the little one.
well, we do got an anonymous question here. What inspired
Okay.
you to become a ghost hunter? For me, it was the fact that so many of these stories are untold. So many of these cases are unsolved, and someone need to be able to tell their story. Stephen?
Well, what inspired me was being raised by my father. You know, my dad being the history buff that he was, really inspired Billy to follow history in his younger years. Dad was really, you know, he was one of them. He would go out to cemeteries. Me and him would just go out there and walk around and look at gravestones, try to find the oldest one in the cemetery, and you know, we'd plot it down, see if we could find the oldest one. That was kind of like a game between me and him. But you know, then me, it was like in school, I fell into the fact of I love science. I like, you know, the fact of figuring things out. You know, which fall back on my dad again. He was big on the old movies, but he wanted to. It wasn't the fact of watching a movie. Dad wanted to sit there and point out the flaws in the movie. You know, he was he's got a wristwatch on. They didn't bring wristwatches out until the 1890s. You know, that was Dad. You know, and he was big on. He loved John Wayne movies by pointing out. Yeah, you see the horses going across the desert chasing the Indians, and you see a Jeep parked on the ridge. And Dad would point it out. You see that up there? You know, that was just the fact of not knowing what was out there. You know, and then I started seeing things the older I got. You know, and the more teenage years come in, more things started developing, and then I seen the doppelganger, and it really intrigued me. Like, okay, the life after death scenario. You know, being raised around churches, you know, that's always been, you know, when you pass away, if you've done well, you're going to heaven. If you've been bad, you're going to other places. You know, that's just always been, okay, is there life after death? You know, that always intrigued me. So I would start doing these things where people would tell me these little urban legends or myths or even actual factual hauntings, you know, like you go out and check this out. And, you know, like, okay, I would do it by myself, you know, which I will strongly recommend. Don't ever do that. It's can be very dangerous, and you can take gifts home with you that you don't want to take home because it's not Christmas time. Because them gifts are the gift that keeps on giving that you don't like. So, you know, if something intrigues you, find somebody that's into it as well as you, and say, hey, you mind, you know, buddying up with me? Let's go out here and check this out. But you know, be very cautious still. Keep yourself at an arm's length. You don't get too close to the fire because you will get burned. But it's also, I ain't gonna say don't do it. That's it. But me, it's always been the fact of, is it real or is it something somebody made up? Is it something somebody seen when they was drinking too much alcohol or they was on a bad trip or whatever? I always wanted to know. So I found out a lot of it was myth and just people, because you got to remember this is in the early 80s, so people was too much partying, wild music, so they was reading too much into the scenarios of, ooh, I seen a shadow move. Well, it was a tree, silly thing. You didn't pay attention to the wind blowing. But, there's things out there. And I have learned over the years that there is a bump in the night. Sometimes that bump means somebody's trying to get your attention because they got a story to tell.
All right. Tiffany, what inspired you?
I grew up watching Ghost Hunters, and as I got older, I would watch Ghost Whisper, and people are stupid. Like, they just see what they can see what's in front of them. They don't. Their mind isn't open to what's beyond. And a lot of times, these spirits are just asking. They just want help. A lot of times, they're confused and they don't know what's going on. They just want help. And if I could help them, that's a great day. That's amazing. I just want to help them. And a lot of them do have really good stories to tell. And I'm a history. I love history. So that's just 2 in 1 right there. But I started off, my first ghost I seen, I was probably about 12 or so, maybe a little older. But I started off watching Ghost Hunters and Ghost Whisper.
Okay. Got the Jennifer Love Hewitt era going on.
Yes, she's so pretty.
That was my girl of the day. Now, don't be dissing her. Don't be dissing her. That's my girl.
I love her.
All right. Mandy.
Well, I don't know that I ever really chose to get into paranormal
You
investigation.
kind of got thrown into it.
Yeah, I kind of got pulled in at a young age and just been trying to tread water since. It's because of my interaction at such a young age and being such a curious mind. Now, unlike the three of y'all, I am not a historian. I could care less about wars and battles and shit. Yeah, I don't care about stuff that they consider history. But as far as like cultural history goes, as far as the history of the people, I want to know about that. I want to know the social construct. I want to understand that. That, and the first time you see a spirit that comes to you that's from the 13th century, you're like, hold on, wait a minute, come back here. And when I started connecting with and had the energy to connect with older spirits, that kind of fed the need, if you will. And it just, it in essence kind of becomes an addiction because, oh, I can do this. Oh, I want to do it again. I want to do it again. I want to do it again until you get yourself so far underwater that you realize, oh, okay, I done screwed up here somewhere, and you have to backpedal to shut things down or whatever. So yeah, as far as getting into it, it came at me and came and got me. I didn't call for it.
Yeah,
that happens a lot.
that's actually why I'm impressed with Iceland. Iceland has this thing, you got these normal libraries and all that. Iceland has this thing, a library, what they call borrowing a person, which is grabbing someone's file and reading their whole life story.
Oh wow!
And something like that would bring a lot of spirits some closure because their story is being told.
Yeah.
Yep.
Hell, some of them, even just assimilating with them would be enough. Not even, having to say this is their story. Just, okay, I feel you, man. And that may be enough just to know that they were heard of.
Right.
So nobody wants to be forgotten.
No.
So,
No.
And there are a lot of spirits that do, people do die that are just like, who was that? And, to some that may be just exactly what they want. Somebody to go, well, look at this person. Well, hot dog. All right, let's find out about this one, and just bring them back to life just for a moment.
It's kind of like, if you look back in history, and like Manny said, she's not a history buff. Back in history, even with the ancient times, everyone wanted some like song written about them, a story written about them, and then even up to the Wild West years, you had people that wanted to be bank robbers, outlaws, some story that kind of makes them look like a hero.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Some kind of notoriety.
Yeah.
Forgotten. And you know what? Hey, there's a statement out there that says even bad attention is still attention.
Yep.
Okay.
I mean, even though the Hollywood scheme, the movie that come out here a while back with Troy, with oh shoot, I can't remember his name, the actor, but he was playing the part of Achilles,
Right.
And he said at one point in that movie, with the theory of life you have, no one will ever remember your name. So that's the part, and it stuck with me. That part is like people go through years of their life and never try to do anything to bring history to their life. As far as like 30 years after they passed, who's going to remember you? That kind of thing. But I've always lived that kind of life until here recently. Then of course you can see the flag. That means a lot to me now because we found out my history, my ancestors, where they come from, what pursued in their life, and where I stand now. I want people to remember who I am, and I can see that. I understand that. So after I'm gone, if any of y'all still alive and you hear a knock at night, it may be me come say, hey, holler my name out to somebody because, I want somebody to remember me.
Yeah.
I don't think that'll ever be a problem, Stephen.
We'll be yelling it from the hills.
I try to stay impressionable.
Yeah,
Oh, go ahead. Oh, okay. Have you ever encountered a case that completely stumped you?
Mm-hmm.
Stephen?
Yep, I've had several. Trying to think. It wasn't really a case, it was just like last year. I'm trying to think how old it was. I was in my 20s. This was before my first wife. I was probably about 22. And I met a gentleman in town, and he was telling me about an old farmhouse out there that was on his property that if I was really interested in the paranormal, I need to go check it out. I said, do I have your permission? He said, yeah. I said, okay. So I drive out there and check it out. I'm in the house for 2 hours. I ain't heard nothing, ain't seen nothing. And I'm thinking, okay, there's nothing here. He just jerking my chain just to see if I would come out here. And I went to go out the front door, and it was like when I pulled the door, it was like somebody was pushing it back shut. I'm thinking, okay, is there wind in here and pushing against resistance the door? And I finally said, okay, well, you want to play that game? I go to the back door and I go out that way. So I go to the back door. It wouldn't budge. So I go back to the front door and it's standing wide open. I'm thinking, okay, well, maybe there is something here. 2 hours later, I still couldn't tell you to this day what was messing with me, why they was messing with me. And when you walk out of the house, the door shuts behind you without nobody in there, and you didn't pull the door. And then you hear a voice saying, don't come back. Okay, well, you let me in. I'm in there trying to get you to talk to me. You're not going to talk to me. Then you don't want me to leave. And then when I go out, you tell me not to come back. Okay, flip a coin. Which attitude you going to have tomorrow? We'll see you later. But since then, that old house has fell in and is gone and all that. But it's to this day, it's always been in the back of my brain. It's like, what? Why? Did you want somebody to know you was there? Did you want to relay a message to somebody and you just didn't know how to tell me? So I mean, just questions. Just stop steady builds up in my head to this day. It's like, what was that?
All right, Mandy.
Buddy, stop.
Well, I think the only time I've ever been stumped by something, I was
Buddy.
friend out of country, and we knew there was a lot of activity at their house, around their house, their whole, acreage. So to see a spirit wasn't a big deal. And I always made sure I cleared the house before I was doing anything in the kitchen, because the last thing I want to do would be playing with a knife and something scares the bejeebus out of me. So I had cleared the house, and I was positive I had cleared the house. So I went to prepping and everything like I was asked, and I set it was a big old marble bowl. Like, it looked like a mortar and pestle bowl that had just taken steroids. I mean, it was huge, and it weighed probably about 60 pounds. And I moved it over to the edge of the counter so it was out of my way. I turned around, went to the sink, rinsed out the pot I was going to use, put it on the stove, turned back around, and damn sure enough, that marble bowl was back in the middle of the table. And I'm okay. Instantly, I'm feeling out. I don't feel nothing. There ain't nobody here. All the kids and all the adults. The kids wouldn't have been able to move the damn thing anyway. But all the kids and the adults are outside. This is what I'm running through my mind. All the logical stuff. All right. So I dusted the table on that end again, put the bowl back over, went to cutting, and I turned around and I went into the pantry on the other side real quick to grab the other cutting board. Come back, and damned if the cutting board I was using, which was right in the middle of the table, was pushed down, and that bowl was right in the middle of the table. I'm like, what the hell? I'm getting that what the hell feeling.
Yeah.
And it's like, somebody has got to be here. Who the hell is here? And I start, of course, because the last thing I want to think is this is a spirit screwing with me, because I cleared them all out. Me and my cocky ass at that time. And it's like, it's got to be one of the guys, or it's got to be one of the kids, or somebody's coming here and they're screwing with me. Well, I was like, you know what? That's it. I don't care. I grabbed the damn bowl, I opened the back door, and I set it on the ground outside the back door. Come back in. I finished doing all the prep I was doing, and I'm watching for that damn bowl to just appear on the counter like it's gonna just magically levitate, And I'm like, let it go. I cleaned the whole kitchen up, got everything done. I went outside to the garden to get stuff for salad. When I come back in, that damn bowl's in the middle of the table. I didn't hear the back door open. I didn't see that thing. I didn't see that thing come around the front of the house. Nothing. It was just there. I dropped all the vegetables in the scrub sink, and I left the house. I went and I found the woman who owned the house, and I said, "You best tell me what's up with that bowl." She goes, "You didn't move it, did you?" "You didn't tell me not to move it." And she goes, "Oh, yeah, don't worry, that happens sometimes." And that was the only explanation I got. That happens sometimes. No. I spent the rest of the time we were there trying to figure out what the hell happened. I tell you what, though, that bolt never moved again.
And Mandy didn't move it either.
And Mandy didn't touch it. That damn thing lived right there for the next 2 months while we were there. Go ahead, stay. I'm not touching that thing.
All right, Tiffany.
I definitely don't have anything like that. That was really cool.
It's cool. 25 years later,
you will.
It's great. What's happening?
I remember when I was living with my ex, his mom had a bookshelf, and it was just me and Matthew in the room at the time. I was all the way across the kitchen, and Matthew was sitting in a little chair in the living room. He was playing his little guitar, and he was singing his music. And all of a sudden, a book just come flying off the shelf out of nowhere. And I put it back, and then like 5 minutes later, it came flying off the shelf again. And I just don't know what it was. Someone else walked in the room, and it stopped.
All right then.
Mm-hmm. That's one of the spirits of opportunity.
Mm.
There was a lot of like when Matthew was born, we had someone touched my shoulder because Matthew was dead. He had to be bagged when he was. He went 15 minutes with no oxygen, and I did feel someone touch me. Not touch me, but I felt a presence. And then they handed him to me after he started breathing and everything. And then I coded. My mom said that she felt someone touch her, but after they revived me and everything, I had an outer body experience. I was sleeping, but I was looking at my body, and I told my aunt her and my mom's whole conversation. I told her what my aunt was wearing and everything. But I was sedated. I was sleeping, but I seen it and I heard it. It was really weird and scary for me because I didn't know what the hell was going on. I thought I was dead. I just seen my body in the hospital bed, and that was it.
Just one of those things that can't be explained.
No.
Mm-hmm.
I think.
Or
Oh,
I can.
when it comes to,
I can explain it. You know, if she did come back, she was taking the long bus out.
oh yeah, she was at the bus
Good
stop,
chance.
but she decided to go home.
There's a good chance she'd turned around and she'd have gone home. Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. The one case that stumped me was the Wolfert family case. We went out there. We went out there early in the morning. We all the graves were overgrown and stuff, and we tried to clear it up a little bit before we started. Oh, we came prepared. We knew the story. We knew everything down to the T. And I think we got a few messages here and there for the spirit box. You know, back then we were working with what? K2 spirit box, and that was basically it.
Oh, how we've advanced.
They have a camera.
Oh, and a camera, yeah. But we started asking questions to every family member. That there was 9 people that were killed. Oh, yeah, that met their fate. But yeah, we barely could get anything from someone until I just got completely aggravated, and I said, I want to know right now who killed you. And in the spirit box, it shouts a derogatory slang word for an African American.
Mm-hmm.
Oh.
And I'm like, well, I know a radio station did not say that. But it stumped me. I'm like, who are they talking about? But I went back later on and found out that there was a farmhand that was that, and he was actually caught later on in South Carolina for killing 3 other people and kidnapping a little girl and forcing her to marry him.
Mm-hmm.
She also kidnapped. She wasn't found because she escaped and ran off into the swamp. But
But
yeah,
they caught him, and he later on admitted to doing it.
yeah. And there was also some items that were found that were possibly from the Wolfert mansion. And what's even crazy, even to this day, you go to a local historian and say, who did this to the Wolfert family? They'll say Thomas Wolfert, an innocent man who
No, he
hanged.
did. Oh. All right.
But yeah, how about we take a quick little break right here, and we'll come back, and we're going to have a few more questions that are popping up through Twitter.
Okay.
All right. Sounds good.
See y'all soon.
I'll be back.
believe in. If you want to claim Christianity, you want to claim the Holy Spirit, it's the Spirit. If you can't claim the life after death scenario that we deal with in the paranormal world, how can you claim the legitimacy of claiming to be a Christian and believing in the Holy Spirit? That's my world I stand in. But, that's my opinion. I don't force it on nobody. If you ask me, I give you my opinion.
Oh, one sec. Technical difficulty.
Okay. Breaks.
As long as we don't have to back up, we're good.
Sample is good now, don't it?
Okay, there we go. For those that couldn't hear, yeah, unfortunately, the question was, apparently no one heard a single thing.
Oh, man. So my whole rant just went out the window for nothing.
Everybody, the question was, how do we approach skeptics to paranormal phenomena? I'm gonna let Stephen go ahead and do it again, but yeah.
Well, I'll take a bigger breath this time. I won't get so far into my Bible license. It just all comes down to, like I said toward the end of my rant, was if you believe in other things in this world, like just say I'm dealing with somebody that claims to be a Christian, but they don't believe in what we do in hunting the paranormal, the supernatural, etc. They don't believe in this, but they believe in their Christian faith, which I don't have no problem with that. I was raised Christian. My dad was a Pentecostal preacher, and my grandmother, she was a Southern Baptist. So I've been around this whole realm of the Christian faith for years. They believe in the Holy Spirit. They believe in the spirits that have gone before us. They believe in when we die, we're going to move to heaven or we're going to go to hell, So if you can put your faith in that, you can believe in a paranormal thing as the Holy Spirit. Why is it so far-fetched to believe that the spirit we have in our human bodies cannot live on until, even in the biblical term of the second calling of the family to come home? Why is it so far-fetched to believe? But like I said, that's my opinion. I'm not forcing that on nobody to believe. You either are or you ain't. That's the way I look at it. You're either a believer or you're a non-believer. But I have seen too much. I've talked to too many of this paranormal. I've seen it firsthand. If you watch this camera, you can watch my chair to cut donuts sometimes without nobody being in this room. Now, if you hear my wife tell it, it's the air conditioner. I'd take 85-mile-an-hour wind to move this chair, people. I'm here to tell you. No, it's not paranormal. That's what her opinion is. It's just things in the house vibrating. Or, okay, people, this is a boom light. It don't move like this by itself, okay? We have seen it move by itself with my hands over here or me sitting back here away from it, okay? So my explanation is I know what it is. I've seen it. I've talked to it. I know what it is. No big thing to me. My wife, she sees it. She hears it. It's nothing. It's just the wind. But, I don't force it because I don't want people to believe it because I said so. I want them to see it for themselves.
All right. Mandy?
Well, I've been dealing with skeptics my whole life, so I've got kind of a mean spirit about it. If someone says that, does decide to confront me and say, well, how do you know it's a ghost? It can't be. I will look at them and go, so are you saying for a fact you know it's not, or are you deluding yourself that it's something else? Yes, it's a little confrontational, but it gets you get a reaction, and you get to find out immediately of whether it's something that they actually, are afraid of, and they're saying, no, it's the air conditioner vent blowing that, or it's the wind doing it, or it's the dog next door, or whatever, or it's a tree limb that hit the house when you don't have trees within 50 miles of your house. No, it doesn't happen that way. Or you find out that they are just, they've never had an experience, so they don't know. And I tend to look at the people that say, well, if you've never experienced it, count yourself amongst the lucky. Because
Yeah.
those that are usually go one of two ways. They either get so scared that they run and hide from everything, or they embrace it and turn into crazy bastards like the rest of us.
Tiffany?
I'm along with Paul as well. People have their Christian faith and they believe in spirit and the Holy Spirit, which you can't see, but they can't have enough faith to believe in other spirits. And what they can't see, they don't believe. And I'm not going to sit there and force my beliefs on anybody. Like, I grew up in a church and I did not force my beliefs on my friends or anything. I had friends that were anti-Christ and everything. But, like I said before, people only believe what they see in front of them. And a lot of the times when they do see it, they get scared and they try to block it out and freak out.
Mm-hmm.
Or they deny it. I've seen people,
Yep.
I've heard stories of people denying what they've seen and make excuses for what it was.
Yeah.
Grandma hanging in the laundry in the living room and she died 15 years ago. Come talk to me.
Yeah, I've done seen a couple approach me about it. Well, besides your wife, she saying that the microphone being moved by the air conditioner. I'm like, that's got to be one strong AC.
Good examples. Like, see how much force it takes to move it? No.
Especially when I've seen your microphone do a complete 90-degree turn, like someone just nailed it.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
And then in slow movement.
right. But then you've got some people that are saying, "Oh, all spirits are demons," and it's like, how? Oh,
No.
please tell me, show me what proof you have of this, and they don't want to back it up.
No.
Now, besides that, I've come across the natural, people from the Christian faith saying that, there's no way, or, that we were told not to mess with it, et cetera, et cetera. But when it comes to skepticism, the biggest ones are the ones from atheism. And I have gotten, since we started this YouTube channel, I've gotten quite a few comments saying, this is fake, all ghosts are not real, et cetera, et cetera. And it's like, well, I mean, that's your opinion, but if you look at some of the stuff that we've caught, we've clearly shown that that statement's not real. I mean, we've that picture. I forget who got it. The one with the laser grid showing the full body apparition.
That was Ashley.
Not Miss Ashley.
Okay, I posted that on a Facebook group showing it all to a bunch of people across the world, and they had this whole. Oh, hello, Sue.
Hi, I didn't want to interrupt in case you guys were busy.
We're actually in the middle of a podcast episode.
Sorry, bye.
Oh, no, you're fine.
You got to run.
Yeah.
Welcome to join us.
Yeah, the more the merrier. What was I saying?
The photo.
Right, the photo. I
Yeah,
posted
the
the
photo.
photo, and people around the world could see it. You know, you had a lot of people that were embracing. They were like, "Oh, that's awesome! That's amazing evidence." So many people said it's someone's shadow. Yeah, it's someone in the actual laser grid, and it's like I got video footage showing that no one's in the laser grid.
They're 20 feet away.
I
I was holding the laser grid. I remember that.
right, and I tried to explain it. I tried to give them everything, and it's like we've tried to debunk it. There's no way to debunk it. Something had to have walked into it and faced us.
Yep. We got one MIA already.
Okay, I think we all covered that question, didn't we?
Yeah.
Yes, I believe so.
Unless they want to answer.
This one came in through came from the email. How do you handle cases where individuals may be experiencing psychological distress rather than paranormal activity? I'm gonna let Mandy kick this one off.
Yeah.
All right. Well, I mean, if we can prove it's not paranormal by walking in and investigating for a minute and realize that no, this is something that is within that person. In all honesty, the first thing we do is talk to that person, or at least I do, is talk to that person and question them. Have they had this problem? Do they think they may? Do they know anyone in their lineage that did have a problem like this? Because we find nothing, but here's what it possibly could be. Have you thought of seeking medical help? Now, to appease their anxiety, I will do a cleansing, I will do a blessing, I will help them, I will do whatever is needed to help them in that moment. But I will strongly suggest seeking medical aid.
Mm-hmm.
All right, Stephen.
Well, I'd have to fall on the same categories. Just assess the situation. Go in and do the Q&A, do a talk, find out where they're standing, kind of feel things around. If the person does have a psychological disorder and they do know it, but yet they're experiencing, they see and they feel and they hear and they hear the voices and etc. Then I'm like her, move on forward to do a self investigation, kind of feel out this what you feel in the house, what you feel in the presence, what you feel around them, and kind of pass the word. Are you to do the simple question of are you taking your medicines correctly? Are you don't put the blame on them because sometimes it is, sometimes it ain't. But we're not medical trained professionals to come in there and tell them you're doing things wrong medically, but encourage them to get their medical taken care of priority wise first. But we will help in any way. We'll be there for them.
Yep. Tiffany.
Yeah. Definitely would do a Q&A to see what's going on, and of course, just see what's going on to make sure it's not paranormal. Like, if you have K2s or anything like that, and empaths can feel the vibes, the energy of the spirits, and just listen to what they're saying. You can usually tell in their eyes you'd be able to see fear and confusion. Make sure they are taking their medicine and that it's not too much medicine or too little medicine. We're, like you said, we're not professional.
Yeah.
So it's very important that if you do have psychological issues, that you go to the doctor, you do what your doctor says, and listen to them. And if you feel like it is paranormal, then investigate it to see what's going on, because they could be just trying to connect with you to ask for help or tell you their story. Now, sometimes they can be dangerous, and bigger actions have to be taken.
Yep. I agree with what everybody's saying. You know, when it comes to mental illness and psychological disorders, they need to go see a doctor. They need to stay up with their medicine, make sure they're taking their medicine. But one of the biggest things, I will say this, and this is to anyone who has mental illness or psychological disorder. When somebody says it's all in your head, take that with a grain of salt. I hate when doctors say that, but they have to say it because, you know, they have to look at it scientifically. But at the same time, it is what it is. We can still come in, we can still take a look, and if there's nothing to show for it, then yeah, it could be a result of any number of things. But just because something didn't say anything to us doesn't mean something's not there. It just didn't want to say something at that time.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, one of the newer things to consider is find out where the local transformers are.
Yeah.
Transformers, because those, I mean, if someone has, you know, just the right chemistry, those things can mess with people if they're too close to them.
Oh yeah.
I mean,
Yep.
just like
I don't know what the scientific call, the technical name is. You know, if you don't have the right filters to reject the EMF field from transformers or bad electrical wiring in your home, EMF can really play a hard role in people's psyche. It can cause you to have major headaches. It can cause you to have upset stomachs. You can see things that ain't actually there because from high EMF. It's always a major issue. And, you know, case in point, I've checked a couple places we went to recently and in the past. You'd be walking through and go past the light switch and EMF detector to peg out. It's like, okay, you might want to call an electrician, number one priority.
yeah, because
Other
K2 should
times
not
you go
go into
past
the red.
everything and nothing. Nope, it should never be in the red.
Like, circling back to what Billy said when he said, you shouldn't tell them that it's all in their head, that could actually make it a lot worse by telling them that.
Yeah, it could.
Yep.
So,
Because they're going to take it as, okay, if it's in my head, then I should have no problem dealing with this. And if it's something in the realm of demonic, well, they're about to make your life a living hell.
this
Yep.
person would be asking for help, and you would pretty much just be shoving it off, brushing it off your shoulder, and could
Well,
make
you're also
that
kind
a lot.
Go ahead, Mandy.
Sorry. You're also putting that, you know, client in a place where, okay, hold on. If somebody who does this for a living is telling me I'm crazy, why should I touch any? Why should I talk to anybody? And they're
Right.
going to close in and not even bother asking anyone for help, including doctors.
And going back to the EMF thing, which you were talking about, Stephen, it's called a Faraday cage.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
That's it.
For a good example of that, besides the transformer thing, if you have a kitchen that has electronics all the way around it, and it's all being powered on the same thing, that can just make your day bad.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Let's see here. What ethical considerations do you take into account when conducting an investigation, especially at private residences? God, y'all all went quiet when I asked that.
No,
So
I'm just
think
waiting for
about it.
somebody to kick off. But
I guess Mandy.
Ethical considerations in a private home. Well, you need to respect that person's space first and foremost. Um, you know,
Mhm.
just because you're there doesn't mean you get to go searching through the medicine cabinet or the bedroom dresser drawer. Um, when it comes down to it, I mean, it just honestly the first thing I think about when I enter someone's home is what am I going to do here that I wouldn't want someone to do in my home? And if it's not something I would want in my home, why would I do it to theirs? And
Exactly.
Yep.
be respectful, first and foremost, living and dead. But when you're definitely in someone's private space, keep your opinion to yourself. Don't be
Yep.
rude, don't be anything. Just do it, go and do your job and get the hell out.
All right, Steven.
Well, it's just like when she said the word respect. You got to remember when you're at your house, you invite a guest into your house and say, "Well, I got to step out for a minute. You hang out here until I get back." It creates that trust bond. They trust that you're going to sit there and respect their home, respect their privacy. And when you leave there, whatever you've seen in their home, you're not going to run to the next buddy going, "Hey, you know what so and so's got in their house?" No, you don't do that. You keep that to. I almost put it on like a doctor's thing. You invite me in to do this to your home to do a job, I'm going to do that job, and whatever you have in your home is your business. It's not mine. I respect your space. I respect your issues, but you would want me to come here to find out why that cabinet door keeps slamming when there's nobody in the kitchen. I'm going to investigate the kitchen. I'm going to investigate go after the rest of the house. I'm not going to go plunder through your drawers, medicine cabinets, check out what you got in the fridge. That's not my business. My business is there to find out what's making you uneasy in your own home.
Right.
Oh, a HIPAA instead of a HIPAA. Awesome. I like that.
I actually going back towards what Ashley just said in the chat. Permission. I look at things legally. I mean, back when we first started this, first person we came in contact when it came to private residences, and I had a form out ready for them to sign that stately clears if you do not want your home on recording to be released, sign here. If you want it to be released, sign here, etc., etc. It comes down to ethics and etiquette. Always be professional. Always show them that you're willing to go the extra mile for them.
That you're going to respect them enough to listen to their wishes.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Tiffany?
Respect for one. That's a big one because, like Mandy said, you don't want them. If you want people to come to your house, you want them to respect you and respect your privacy and your space. So it's very important that you also respect their stuff as well, and their privacy and their space. And again, with permission, it's very important to have permission because not everybody wants their business all over the place. And some people just prefer to have a private investigation or they don't want, can't get it out of my mouth. They don't want everything out. That's the best way I can put it right now. So those are the two that I think of.
Okay. I just had a message come in from a friend of mine. What advice do you have for those that are expiring to go into the paranormal field?
Expiring to go into the paranormal
Inspiring.
field or inspiring?
He spelled it aspiring. Hey, English wasn't his first language.
If you're
Never
expiring, don't go any
go.
further field. If you're
Never
inspiring,
go alone.
that's the first one. Read, learn, talk, communicate.
I think we crossed this path before, and I said,
Yeah.
you're teaching your child to walk across the street traffic. You always make sure they look both ways before you cross. Same thing here. You look both ways. You check all aspects before you make your first investigation. Before you ever step into it, you study. You know what you're doing. You know what to ask. You know what to look for. It's like Mandy said before. This is paranormal. We don't work on their schedule. They work whenever they want to. We show up. If they're going to talk, they're going to talk. If not, you got to make yourself know. You got to know what's going on. You got to know the ins and outs. But you don't go whenever you're blindfold on and run like a blind bull through a china shop. You won't be in this business very long.
All right then. I'm going. Yeah, I agree with both y'all. The biggest coming from my background, I look at when it comes to reading, you're going to want to read certain books about from scientific standpoints, just reports, and how to debunk. And then you want to go and look at your town's local history. There are websites you can use with. If you live in the United States, you have county tax commissioner. You can check people's property, their history of it, who owned the property, and all that. But
And
if
most
it goes,
communities now have historical.
say what?
And most communities now have historical groups.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
Just know though that when it comes to earlier than night. Oh, go ahead.
Oh, I was just going to say, make sure you understand the psychological too of it. Understand that not everything you're seeing or hearing may be considered paranormal. It may be considered paranormal to the client, but in reality, it's not.
Right. Could be bad wiring, bad plumbing. Mm-hmm.
But you don't want to put it off on them to make them feel like they're the ones at fault. You just got to go in and do your job. But you need to understand that before you ever start this. Start stepping into the doorways of doing it.
Yeah. And for most people who do look at property records, if it does go before 1900, just because it doesn't say anything before 1900 doesn't mean it ain't there. It means it's covered under the Land Management Act. I learned that the hard way.
Learn from others' experience. There's a good one.
And also, once you do go into the investigations and you make a mistake, such as Dead Shark has made a mistake. I ain't going to say we didn't. We made a mistake. We fumbled the ball. But we apologize for it. We corrected it. But you always make sure, double check yourself before you step foot on any property. Make sure you have all signed documents saying you're allowed to be there.
Oh, my favorite process. Due diligence.
I knew Mandy did like it.
Yeah, even though we've done this a little bit long, we shouldn't have made that type of mistake. But hey, mistakes happen. We're all human.
That's it. Learn from them.
Learn from them.
That's what
you make a mistake. Learn from it.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. We learned.
Since Tiffany just graduated, maybe she can shed some light on those who are getting ready to go into the field.
Really, it is, honestly. I did a lot of studying. I read a 17-page handbook on paranormal, and it didn't take me long to read it, but it was a lot. It was a lot. You need to learn. You need to learn what your tools are and what they do. You need to learn the different entities, and you need to be respectful for one to the spirits and to the people around.
I think it also
Debunking
helps
is also
never
very,
stop
very
learning.
important. That was one of the first things that I was taught was debunking. Because you never know. You could just take a picture and think nothing of that picture, but go home and look at it, blow it up, change the brightness, and you can get your evidence, recordings. Paul likes to use his phone recorder, and we have gotten a lot of evidence on that.
Yeah.
So, but reading up and studying, like they said, that is very, very important.
Yeah.
To
Yeah.
learn and ask questions. No question is a dumb question either. I learned that. I used to think that, but no question is a dumb question. It doesn't matter how
No.
stupid it sounds or how dumb it sounds.
If you don't ask a question, that's the dumb question. If you've got the question in your brain, make sure you come out your mouth with it.
Yes.
That's it.
Well,
Absolutely.
that and that dumb question I got asked, who was it by? I still think that was a kid who asked me that. Is a demon dangerous? What do you think?
But the thing is, that's not really a dumb question because if you don't know, I mean, if you're going by,
That's true.
you
True.
know, how many people study demonology actually? All right, if you're going by what you've been trained in church or what you learned from Hollywood, you know, God help us on TV. Thank you, Supernatural, for screwing up half a generation. But, there are some good demons out there. Nothing. Very, very rarely are you going to
Yeah.
find a demon that ain't out to get for their own. But it's not a dumb question because if you don't know, how else you gonna learn?
To be
That's exactly right.
perfectly honest, I agree with you. But at that time, I was just like, okay,
Really?
I don't understand how people don't know
Yeah.
as much movies have been
Well,
put out there.
you got
Right.
to remember even if you're of Christian faith and you read the Bible daily, remember the words in the Bible talking about the devil's going to come to you as the most beautiful thing you ever seen in your life, the most opportunist time that you ever had. He'll catch you when you're down and you think I ain't got another dime to live off of, and all of a sudden there's an opportunity pops up that, hey, everything's going to be okay. I'll give you this $1,000. All you got to do is such and such. Well, that $1,000 put your butt in prison the next 25 years because you took stolen money.
Mm-hmm.
The opportunity points of the demons that you face today can come to you at as soft as that newborn baby's hands. You have to remember that. Not always is he going to come out with the horns and the ugly face and the fire shooting out of his back. No, that's like Mandy said. That's in the movies. Demonics are not going to show themselves exactly the way you portray them in your mind. That's all here. Remember, use this and use this. If you come across a demonic, step back, take a breath, and make sure you got plenty of backup.
Yep. All right.
Make sure you know what you're doing.
Yes.
And whoever you're learning,
helps.
should stay because there's a lot of fakes around here who think they know what they're doing.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Actually, back when we first got started, I don't remember who it was, but there was a group, and I'm not sure if they're still active or not, that was going around and telling people, yes, we'll investigate your place, but you're going to pay us. It's like, are you kidding me? And I every time we went to these places, those people were there right before we got there.
I can name one right off the top of my head. They wanted to charge these people $1,500 for a one-night investigation, and they had to put them in a motel. No.
Yep. That was Greensboro, wasn't it? Yeah.
Yep.
All right, now watch out.
Yep.
We don't need that lawsuit.
We ain't gonna name nothing else no further. Just leave it alone. But yeah, That was
That's the
it.
thing
That
is,
was the investigation. Yeah,
and most people will think this is a service I'm getting, so they're going to
mm,
think that there's a charge attached. And there are people that are taking advantage of that. I'm sorry, I'm sick and twisted. I may be as poor as a church mouse, but I'm gonna tell you right now. Somebody tells me there's ghosts over here. Can I come see? You know, ain't gonna cost you nothing. I won't even ask for a
mm-hmm.
glass of water.
Yeah,
Just let me in.
yep. Just show me where it's at. Turn me loose.
Point me in the right direction. I'm on my way. Yeah, that's it. I mean, but there are people that are out to make money at it, unfortunately. And that's their
Yep.
only concern is how they're going to pay for their next
Yep.
fancy piece of equipment that is going to do the same thing the three pieces of equipment they got in the truck already did.
Yep. And I completely
A
understand when it
box
comes
of
to
baby powder.
Yeah.
I can completely understand when it comes to United Kingdom because that you actually had to purchase a license and all that to become an investigator. But
Right.
when it comes to you here in the United States, you're just an investigator. You learn. It's up to the team to do their due diligence on make sure they're professional, they handle things correctly, and we don't charge. It's all considered volunteer. Whether a person gives us money or not,
Right.
we consider it donations.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Um,
This is something we do. We don't take other people's money or anything. We just enjoy doing what we do.
and here at Dead Sharp Paranormal, for those that are just joining the team, we usually have them study through multitude of stuff, and we're just now implementing that they actually take tests before they actually become recruits or trainees.
Yes.
That way
I
we know.
started in October and I just graduated last never paid.
And I grandfathered in because I'm old.
And I just proved what I know over and over and over again.
Hey, I'm sorry. Most of the time, it's not really to test you. It's just to see what you may pick up on. Something that.
Oh, I understand, but it's still a test.
Yeah, true.
That's all right. I told you in the beginning I didn't mind.
Yeah.
Until you feel comfortable with me, you go ahead and test me all you like.
But anyways, this next question just came from someone a couple minutes ago. How do we handle those that are wanting to have closure, whether they have a family member that just passed away or of the such?
Are you talking about the human, the living being that wants closure?
Right. That like they say, oh,
Okay.
my father died a couple years ago. I think he's here, but I just wanted to know that type of thing.
Well, that kind of depends on what state of mind they're in to me. If they're in the state of mind that they're willing to, just let dad move on kind of thing, and, no offense whether dad's there or not. If dad's not there, I'm going to handle it the way, you know, the way that is going to be the most kind for them. I'm going to let them light a candle, say a prayer, anything that they feel would be the right thing that would give them that closure. If dad is actually there, I'm going to see if he's willing to talk. If he's willing to talk, I'm going to ask them if they have any questions or they want to know anything, or, this is what dad's got to say before he's ready to go on, kind of thing. And if that works for them, then we'll move on to the next phase, which is, releasing dad and giving them that feeling of closure for them.
All right, Stephen.
Oh, I agree with her. Yeah, that's me. You know, in cases like that, you got to use a lot of sensitivity. You got to be really careful with your questions. You got to be careful with your answers. So yeah, I'm exactly with Mandy. You know, that's if they feel like, yeah, I need to write a letter to the dad and have you read it to him. If you find out he's here, great. If you want to light a candle and let us sit there at the table and do a little Q&A and see if we can get dad to talk, we'll do that. You got to be cautious about it because sometimes people's emotions will lock them inside and not let you see it. Where I don't have the ability to feel their emotion, you know, and I hope nobody thinks bad about me, but I've ever since I was a youngin' and I seen the things I saw living in an urban neighborhood, I kind of lost the sensitivity of empath. You know, I really don't feel, you know, have that ability to show emotion to somebody else's, you know, has sympathy for them. Basically, I try to be real gentle with it, but that's why in most cases like that, I'll be there holding that ministerial card, you know, because I am an ordained minister. So I try to do my best to say the right thing, but sometimes they don't come across as the right thing. So I basically sit and listen.
Yeah. Tiffany.
I'm with Mandy and Paul on that one. For closure, like if someone's dad passed and they wanted to know they were still here, you definitely have to be sensitive to their answers and questions. I would agree with you on the candle, or Paul said that about the candle and asking Q&A answers. That would be a good thing to do. Asking questions and then asking them to not, one for yes or two for no. That's a good way too. But definitely keep their emotions in your mind because some people just don't want to let go of their loved ones and they find it really hard.
I think that's the most important thing is when it comes with closure, they have to be able to be willing to let go of any type of physical and just remember them for who they were and let them move on.
Exactly.
That's where that sensitivity comes in.
Yeah.
You got to be gentle with people like that because, well, I mean, I'm trying to think that, well, I don't want to mention names or areas, but there was a person that had a loved one pass and swore to me that she knew he was there with her, and because she sees shadows on the wall and she's seen the door open and she's things that he would normally have done when he was alive. And I said, you know, well, can I come in and sit and talk to him? You know, she's like, yeah, I would really like that. Well, we sat and talked and found out it wasn't him. It was somebody that lived on that grounds probably 30 years before they were. And she kind of got upset, you know, because it wasn't the one she thought it was. But I told her, I said, you just got to remember he's recently passed, so it may take a while for him to come back and actually, you know, visit. I said, but, you know, keep in mind, if he's not here, he's not, you know, sitting there waiting for you to, you know, to follow his path immediately. He's preparing a place for you to come to when you go to be with him.
Okay. I'm gonna go ahead and tell chat now. We're getting ready for the end. So if you got any questions, pop them out now. We're gonna take a few more questions.
Silence.
It's only ghost time to talk.
You never know. Good. A ghost may need a question.
I ain't gonna say that right now because I got somebody been bugging snot on me for the past 20 minutes now.
Sounded so mischievous there. That's awesome.
I done had
You gotta deal with somebody.
All right, here's one.
He's done tapped on my shoulder and pecked me on the head.
Are we willing to talk about any further research projects or investigations? Ooh.
Something coming up?
Mm.
Bill, have you found us a graveyard yet?
Say what, Tiffany?
Have you found us a graveyard yet?
I'm working on it.
I am wanting to go.
I've actually got one in mind. But
I have a whole bucket list.
Good girl.
I do.
Pretty girl.
I will say one thing when it comes to investigations. As it is right now, we're going to take about maybe a 2.5 month break. That way, we're able to let things build up and everybody rest and stuff like that. But we do have.
Yeah.
That and for certain things to come in. But we do have we got a graveyard, a jail, and I think we're gonna do a repeat. I can't remember. One of our old locations. I can't remember.
Billy.
What's up?
Ashley said there's a question on Twitch.
Oh, there is? How do you convince someone to let go who doesn't want to let go but should?
That's a hard one because you cannot convince someone to let go. Even when they should, you just really can't convince someone to let go. They have to want to.
Yeah. Mandy?
If you're talking about a spirit, good luck. As far as a living being goes, you can't rush the grieving process. No matter how hard you try, no matter how good you are at it, nobody can. So you really just have to be tolerant and accept that that person's just not at that stage yet in their grieving to let someone go.
Steven?
Oh my! You're gonna have to ask me that one. I just told you what I did.
Oh, did you? Oh well.
But I'm with Mandy. I mean, it's one of those situations there that if you got somebody that's grieving a loss, and you understand that the only way they're gonna get through the area they're in their psyche, their mind, what do you want to call it, is for them to let go. It's hard to convince them that. It's hard to sit there and tell them, the only way you're going to be able to move on and experience your life and move on for your loved one to be happy for you is to let go. It's kind of hard to tell them that. But in the same points, too, you can also tell them it's like keeping that spirit in bondage. You can't allow that spirit to move on and move on into its next stage. It's in the next stage. You can't believe the fact that, all right, they passed away. Their soul was laying in that ground. No, it's not. Their soul was trying to move forward and move on to do its part in its second stage. You have to. It's hard to tell them that. And there's a gentle way to do it, but like I say, it's hard for me to dig that up because I'm sitting there going, turn loose. Hey, it's just the cake's gone off the plate. Turn loose of the knife. Now it's time to wash the dishes and put the things away and move on with your life. But that me inside is wanting to tell them that, but that there again, I'm sitting there going, also, I need to try to be a little gentler because I've experienced loss. I've experienced a girlfriend and a child that passed away within just a day or two of each other. I've experienced grandparents leaving, and I've experienced my mother and father passing away. my cousin that was like a brother to me, he passed away. So all that heaviness I've experienced, but I have no problem of understanding, let them go. If they want to come back, they'll come back. But you have to be willing to open up and say, be at peace. I respect the fact that you need to rest. You need to move on. You need to go to the second stage of this thing we call life.
Yeah. I don't know if we covered this or not, but it does look familiar. How do you know if it's your brain or if it's real? If you see stuff going on but don't believe.
That comes in the basis of debunking.
You see
Yeah.
something.
If you see it, yeah.
Take a video.
Exactly.
Take a video. You got sight and sound there. Yeah. Take it apart. But if you think it's your brain and you're not even up to debunking and you think it's your brain, seek medical help. I'm not trying to be comedic or funny about it. It's true. I mean, if you
It's
really
true.
think that
It's true.
you're seeing something that isn't there, there could be. I mean, you could have something wrong with your eyes. You could have You could have a brain aneurysm speaking. You could have migraines. You could have allergic reaction to something. It could be anything.
Mm-hmm.
Take a picture. The simplest way. We all got these dang phones in front of us 24/7 most of the time, and they all got cameras now. Hello, proof right here. Take a picture. Look at that picture. If you still see it and it gets bigger as you zoom in and smaller as you zoom out, there's something to it. However, if you've taken a picture and there ain't nothing there, well, quite possibly you may have some medical issues.
Okay. Tiffany, did you answer?
Yeah, I answered.
Okay, just making sure. I got my own medical brain problems.
Same.
Well, I mean, me, it's like, me sitting here in my room, you see the window behind me. There's times I see a reflection shoot across my wall, and I'm thinking, okay, was that something I seen? So I'll sit and watch. If I see it again, most time I'll pay attention to it the second time, and I see that it's, okay, that was a reflection of a car window when it went past the sunlight reflected. But if it's in the middle of the night, and I see a reflection like somebody walking, shoots down my wall, okay, I'm the only one in this room. And I'm looking at a camera, and I'm seeing myself on camera. Okay, it was there because I seen it through the video. So, it wasn't me seeing out of the corner of my eye, and I just might be seeing movement of a curtain or, as my wife would say, the air conditioner being up here blowing the curtain, my flag on the wall.
And
I
do want to point this
Yep.
out. When it comes to when we say medically or something wrong with your brain, we're not talking in terms of just mental illness. It could be something physical. Maybe you have a tumor in your brain. I mean, that's just worst case scenario. But something
Right.
that would make your visual.
Your blood sugar's going to drop.
Yeah. Anything that could affect your visual cortex.
Yep.
Go eat a piece of
I
cheese.
was on clonidine, and it was supposed to help me sleep. And I was hallucinating. I was seeing spiders climbing all over me and everything. And Ashley and Cheyenne thought it was the funniest thing in the world. They didn't see them, but I'm over here pointing at them, trying to kill all the spiders that's crawling all over me.
And there you go. It's a medication that's too strong for you.
Right.
It was 1 milligram.
Okay, well, there's a different medicine.
Mm-hmm.
I got to go for that medicine.
Yep. Pharma.
She's over here laughing at me.
All right, here we go. I'm going to use this as a last question. but I'm gonna
Yeah.
also put something. I'm gonna say let's give two answers. One your personal and one scientific.
Mm.
What do you hope to achieve through your work as a paranormal investigator, and what keeps you motivated in that field?
Mm.
I just like helping people. And as a scientific, I don't know. I don't really see anything like as scientists because they only see what's in front of them and what they use their five senses.
Okay. Uh,
I mean, they hear things like if they hear a spirit or something, they'll make up a explanation. Oh, it was the tree or a dog or my grandfather is like that.
They'll rationalize it away.
I'll say it from my point of view that personally, the whole reason I got into this was to help spirits be able to tell their story, be able to solve whether their case was unsolved or stuff like that. But scientifically, when it comes to the paranormal, I want to be able to one day take the knowledge I have and make certain things that'll be able to either help better communicate, better techniques, or help even one day make something that would be able to let us see them clearly than just a stick figure.
That would be cool.
But Mandy,
Well, scientifically speaking, I feel the same way you do, Billy. I mean, it's just anything for the betterment and advancement of the rough science that is there. Um, if it can be made easier and more fortuitous, yeah, absolutely. As far as I mean, and what am I hoping comes out of it? Yeah, proof for everyone, including naysayers. As far as personally, well, almost 50 years ago, it was just to shut them the hell up and leave me alone. That was my whole motivating act. Um, I have matured and grown quite a bit, and my first goal is just to help and aid in any way I can, both the living and the past, and those that have passed on. Um, what am I hoping for more from that? Just to just to keep being able to successfully help. And if an experience comes from like what we experienced last night, then that's what it will be. But it's just to move it forward.
okay, Stephen. Oh wait, no, never mind. Um, but yeah, it's you're good. But yeah, being able to.
Mhm. Ashley even answered that one. She said,
Oh, she did. This is from Ashley. I'm into unsolved cases mainly. I've recently attached myself to stories. I knew nothing about this kid or the state he passed in, but in the end, I turned out to be right on point with it and continue to help others living and unalive.
Good deal.
Man, and to be perfectly honest, there are some things that team member Aaron has told me when it comes to scientific stuff. He's got some great ideas. And to be perfectly honest, I wish he would get with like people like you, Mandy, and you, Pop. Your engineering and all that could help with him. I just wish he would actually go to you.
No,
Well, it's either that or he gets a Mr.
no.
Science kit for Christmas.
Oh, where's my CSI kit?
That's right.
But yeah. Anyways, we're gonna go
Well,
ahead and oh, go
me,
ahead.
I was just going to answer since you called me a while ago. Kim called me. No, me, my personal is for me to show the world or whoever wants to accept it that life, there is a such thing as life after death, and it is here. You know, we encounter it daily. You know, people don't realize you'll be walking down the sidewalk in the middle of where we live at here, and in this community, and you walk right amongst the spirits of people that died in the 1800s, and they're just trying to accept what's going on around them as technology and the world has grown, and they don't know what's going on. They're trying to figure it out too. But that's my personal goal. I want to prove that. I want people to see that, that denying it and saying, blocking your mind out and saying it ain't real is not acceptable to me. It's like, my beloved wife, she wants to deny it all the time, but me, I'm sitting there going, I've seen it. I know it's real. I want to grab her and say, listen, you done told me about the experiences you haven't, and why can't you accept it? But I don't do that. I try to be okay. That's your thing. Just be the queen of denial. But the scientific part of me wants to have the evidence, have the caught on film, and the caught on audio, and the pictures, and just me standing there posing with Abraham Lincoln, him giving him a peace sign, whatever. That's what I want on the scientific end of it. Is having that personal thing and the connection for me as my personal belief of it, along with the scientific proof of it. That's what I want.
All right then. All right. Well, thank you everyone for showing up for this episode. I'm sorry, that one was good.
Yeah. Thanks everybody. Sorry, it's just me. You either love me or hate me.
If you get a picture of Abraham Lincoln standing beside you doing that, I will. Yep, you're good.
Hey.
I'm gonna blow that bad boy up and frame it.
I'm gonna be going to Gettysburg one day, and hopefully I'll get to stand on top of Devil's Rock beside a wave, and we can give a peace sign together. That'd be awesome.
Hey, hopefully. But all right, we're gonna end this out. Thank you everyone for showing up, including those that are talking today. If any of y'all have any more questions, hit us over on Twitter. We're also on Facebook, and we're also over on YouTube, TikTok, and now Clapper. Thank you everyone for showing up.
Thank you.
All right. Till next time. Peace.
Bye. Mary's sleeping.
Everybody here.
Well, Landon.
Tell the other half we said howdy. We'll catch him later. There's Ashley. Peace.
Yeah, but she's not Abraham Lincoln.
No,
I can put a little chin strap